I hereby call this workshop meeting of the Orangetown Town Board to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have a few, I'm sorry, would the
Yes.
Deputy Clerk please call the roll?
Okay, Councilman Dennis Troy. Present. Councilman Dibney. Here. Councilman Valentine.
Here.
Councilman Batari.
Here.
And Supervisor Day.
Here. All right, a few announcements before we move on. Announce our Orangetown Highway Department received first place award in the Cornell Local Roads program for their design of the Hitch Witch, which attaches to a forklift and allows employees to safely hook up and move equipment, which eliminates the need for a coworker to assist with that. That was designed and fabricated by our own Bill Bodenstap, a welder fabricator from the Highway Department. It's a great job trying to think outside the box there, and he got a good award for the Highway Department for it. Coming up on our next regular town board meeting next week, our Department of Environmental Management and Engineering will be presenting their annual, the draft municipal storm sewer drain system MS4 report for year 15. That's a thing we have to issue annually to the DEC. May 15th also, we have a public hearing regarding a emergency tree hazard in Tapan that starts at 8:05 p.m. Then at the same day at 8:15 p.m., we have a continuation of the public hearing for the proposed local law regarding devices in public ways. Also, on Wednesday, May 23rd, from 10 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. at our Highway Department will be the 29th Annual Equipment and Products Exposition for various highway equipment and such. We're hosting it this year. Moving on to the June 5th Town Board Workshop meeting, we have a public hearing scheduled for 8:05 p.m. regarding a proposed amendment for a pack zone for Galway Bay in downtown Pearl River on William Street. And also on June 5th, we have a public hearing that will be opened regarding a petition for zone change for Town Plaza to switch a portion of that shopping center from industrial to commercial. We have some proclamations to give out, but we're going to skip ahead, I believe, because it's coming up 8:05, to our public hearing. So just a general point of order on this. We only have, there are two people signed in that are signed in not for this isn't just general public comment. There is no public comment. This is specifically for the proposed local law regarding performance standards for air matter. There's no opportunity for public comment today. It's just a workshop meeting, but we appreciate you signing in. The one person who signed in for performance standards, just to be that you know, this is not our final version. There's still a few substantive changes that we're contemplating. We're going to open the public hearing and allow anyone who feels the need to comment to go ahead, but just know what you're looking at is not the final version. We're going to continue it, and there'll be more changes that are required in terms of possibly moving into a different section of the code and that sort of thing. We're working with our consultant on that. So do we have a motion to open the public hearing? Councilman Troy, second. Councilman Batari, all in favor? All right. John Curran, do you want to speak or do you want to submit them in writing? Okay. All right, thank you. Is there anyone who wants to speak on the matter? Again, this is not the final version.
We're just gonna,
Yeah.
Rob, if we're making a lot of substantial changes, why don't we table this and come out with the final version? And because it just seems like we keep on adjourning it.
Yeah, we need to get to a point where
and
we're not doing this. Yeah.
That we're gonna be back here in 3-4 weeks. You might as well just table it until we have the final version so that we can put it out there and we can finally.
Yeah,
vote
you
on
can do that. It's, I was going to suggest June 24th, because I know that Dennis Michaels has been working on this.
Mm-hmm.
The plan is, as I said, as the supervisor indicated, there's going to be some further changes on it. He's working with the experts, and so.
Are they minor or major? Because they're major, you gotta
We'll,
re-advertise anyway.
based upon what our discussion was today, we're going to have to re-advertise, so.
And we're gonna have to go up to the county. Give them
Right.
30
So we have
days
to
out.
redo all that stuff.
Right.
So the earliest you're saying, if we do it for June 24th, do you think we would theoretically be able to open, close in hypothetically vote if there were no comments worth.
Well, frankly, if the other one were ready, right, this one would be, there'd be no need for it.
Right.
But,
But then you'd have to circulate.
I just don't want to redo it in 24th. I'd rather do it however long
if
it's
you
gonna
want, if
take,
you want to put it off,
I'm
then,
fine doing the 24th. I'd rather do it sooner, but I'd also rather be the one that we ready to stand behind and really.
right. The reason we suggested the 24th, I was discussing with Dennis's schedule. He's out for one of the meetings in July. So if you want to put it into July, that would,
Well,
my suggestion would be put it on the 24th.
24th?
If we have the new one ready to roll, we'll put them together.
so it's gotta go out.
It's got to go out by the end of the month,
20
basically.
23rd though.
Yeah.
22nd,
Right.
23rd, you gotta
It's
give.
2.5 weeks.
You gotta give the
Right.
county 30 days, turn around. And-
Right.
All right,
All right,
all
so,
right, 24th works,
all
I'm
right,
just
so
saying.
do
you know.
we have a motion to continue this public hearing to the June 4th,
24th.
June 24th, sorry, June 24th, town board meeting at 8:05 PM.
Second.
All right, I moved. Councilman Divney seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Apologize. All right, moving backwards again on the agenda, we're going to go to some
Good proclamation.
proclamations. Yeah. And then we'll have some presentations regarding a few petitions, or a couple petitions. So there's a few, I got 4 proclamations. May is a very big month for various groups in town, so we've got a few to deal with here. The first one, as this is our first meeting in May, is a proclamation for Mental Health Awareness Month in the town of Orangetown, which the month of May has been Mental Health Awareness Month since 1949, and we're proud to offer this proclamation to the National Alliance of Mental Illness in Rockland County, which is a grassroots community mental health agency affiliated with the New York State NAMI, which is their abbreviation, and dedicated to improving the lives of individuals living with mental illness and their families through education, support, and advocacy. And they will be working in a statewide ribbon campaign, which you see around the room in the front of the town hall, to raise awareness of mental health illness, reduce stigma, promote understanding, and encourage treatment during Mental Health Awareness Month in this month of 2018. So I do hereby proclaim on behalf of the town board, the month of May 2018 is Mental Health Awareness Month here in Orangetown, and call upon all Rockland citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions to recommit to our community to increasing awareness and understanding of mental illness, reducing stigma and discrimination, and promoting appropriate and accessible services for all individuals. I'd like to present this proclamation to Sandy and Jackie Drexler, who are appearing to accept on behalf of NAMI. Go. Thank you very much for what you do, appreciate it. Thank you. It's very much nice to
You guys
meet you.
wanna sit?
Thank you very much.
You want to say a couple words? You wanna let him say
Do you want to say a couple words about Mental Health Awareness Month? Yeah. And, yeah, sure.
Hi, I'm Sandy. I'm the president of NAMI Rockland, and Chris already said some of the things I was going to say.
I'm sorry.
But I just wanted to tell you that during May is Mental Health Awareness Month, just to know that 1 in 6 adults in the United States has a mental illness or has a family member or friend dealing with a mental disorder. Mental illness strikes everyone, people of all ethnicities, all religions, all cultures, and all socioeconomic groups. Although NAMI is a small organization, and I'm happy to be able to tell you a little bit about it, we have 1 full-time and 2 part-time employees at this moment, and 1 woman is bilingual, offering services in Spanish. Last year, we provided services to more than 3,000 people. And what we do as an organization is we advocate for mental health at all levels of government. We support families, and we offer like 6 monthly support groups every month. We also have a helpline that operates Monday through Friday. We educate families and the community about mental health issues. We have an education presentation monthly that talks about a lot of different issues. We bring people in who are authorities on different parts of the whole mental health environment. We set up information tables at all the fairs, schools, churches, community information symposiums. And in our office, we have a library of pamphlets and brochures, and if you ever have a constituent or someone who has a problem, that you know of, you could direct them to NAMI to call for some information. We, in addition to, we support psychiatric research, and we're lucky to have the Nathan Klein Institute right here in Orangeburg. They've received national acclaim for some of the successes that they've had in creating new medications and therapy techniques. We also work to reduce stigma, and this year that our ribbon campaign, which you mentioned, that's really what our focus is. And by debunking the myths associated with mental illness, first of all, mental illness is a neurobiological disorder, a physical illness, really, that affects the brain. And when families dealing with other illnesses are stricken, they get support, compassion, and understanding from their neighbors and friends. People with mental illness, on the other hand, are often ignored, ridiculed, and discriminated against. This prejudice, stigma, causes individuals living with mental illness to feel shame, to avoid seeking treatment, to somehow delay their recovery by not looking for support among their friends and family. And I guess we as NAMI want to thank the town of Orangetown for joining us in the ribbon campaign this year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Uh-oh. Is that
You
movable?
can turn it down, and it moves to.
Oh, and it does move, okay. So my name is Jackie, maybe I don't even need that. My name is Jackie Drexler, and I want to thank you all for letting us come this evening. I used to live in Palisades for many years, spent a great part of my life here, and I still have quite a connection with people in Orangetown. Got involved with NAMI Rockland about 5 years ago, and knowing that NAMI is a grassroots organization that's a local, state, and national group, and it's all about people helping other people. So Sandy has mentioned several of the things that are going on at NAMI, and I just wanted to let you know that our educational seminars are always free to the public. Everything that we do is free to the public. So this month at the Nathan Klein Institute, for instance, there's going to be a seminar on the opioid epidemic on May 15th. I've given you all packets that actually have tons of information you can share with other people. At any rate, the seminar and discussion and book signing by the author of The Addiction Solution, Dr. Lloyd Setterer, is going to be happening on the 15th. We also do a lot of advocacy, which is not only personal for each family situation, but also at the legislative level. We work for reforms on issues such as prescriber prevails and for the non-switching of formularies that are covered for covered prescriptions. We're also working on legislation to stop people from being people who are incarcerated who have disabilities, be that developmental, mental health, or physical disabilities, from being put into solitary confinement. So we do a lot of work on that level as well. So the packets that you have information on some of our free programs, the family and friends support groups, the parents of children's and teen support groups, educational outreach seminars, the film series, and this month we have on May 23rd a film at the Finkelstein Memorial Library, A Light Beneath Their Feet. We have many free courses, NAMI Basics. We have a new course, a 6-week course called NAMI Homefront for family and friends of military service members and veterans. And that also includes a support group. We have Family to Family. That's a 12-week course. It's very informative. It really goes into many different diagnoses and treatment options and where you can get support. We also have a very unique program called In Our Own Voice, where someone who actually has a mental health issue works with other trained presenters, and they will do a presentation at colleges or high schools, even junior high schools, churches, temples. It's basically a presentation where the person talks about their illness, what precipitated it, their recovery, their treatment, and it's in conjunction with a video and discussion, and it's a wonderful program. So we do a lot of things, and we offer a lot of benefits to just anyone in the community that needs to help friends or family. We also do a walk every year. In the past, we've done it in Westchester, and we've done it in New York Metro. And this year, we're bringing it home to Rockland. We're doing a walk at Rockland Lake in partnership with the Mental Health Association of Rockland on May 19th. There's information on that in your packets as well. So, as Sandy said, stigma, shame, and lack of resources for many people stop them from seeking help and services. However, early intervention leads to coping skills, treatment, and better outcomes. We are not letting stigma stop us. We at NAMI have resources, networks, and real help available to people. And we encourage you to encourage your community members to seek help, reach out to others, and let them know that NAMI Rockland is here for them. And thank you so much for honoring us.
Thank you very much for telling us all about that and for what you do for our community. Moving on, we have another proclamation. May 2018 is also Building Safety Month. We're going to proclaim that here in the town of Orangetown as well as nationwide. Obviously, building safety is something on the top of everyone's mind in Rockland County, and our code enforcement and our building inspectors do an important job of keeping residents and first responders safe. I want everyone in Orangetown and the broader area to take May and think about, sometimes you have to deal with the building department and it can be a pain, and a lot of times the experiences that they have to deal with are negative with the public. But think about the importance the important job they do to keep our community safe and to make sure that, when there's a kid in a bedroom and there's a fire in that house and the first responders are coming, they know how to get there, and we know that the place is not going to go up too quickly, so we can keep the kids safe, because in the end, that's what the whole point of it is keeping our residents safe. So I have this proclamation that I'll be presenting. We'll be presenting to Jane Slavin, but she's not present because her son's actually playing a baseball game over at Boulder Stadium tonight, which is pretty cool. But I have Rick Oliver, our deputy building department director here, I believe, was here. I don't see him. He was supposed to be here. Well, I'll give it to her in the morning. I'll see her in the morning anyway. But I do hereby proclaim as a supervisor on behalf of the town board the month of May 2018 as Building Safety Month here in Orangetown. So thank you to all of our building inspectors here in the town. All right, moving on, we have a couple of weeks coming up. We have one for National Police Week from May 13th and 19th. Obviously, it goes without saying that our police department is second to none in this area and in this country as far as I'm concerned. And the folks in our police department and in other police departments, we have a lot of NYPD officers who live here in town. Every day they put their lives on the line for their communities. They put on a bulletproof vest and they're willing to take any risk they might run into. So we're here to proclaim this. We want to acknowledge the 900,000 law enforcement officers serving across the United States, the fact that they have suffered almost 60,000 assaults in 1 year, that there have been way too many killed in the line of duty of late, and the number has increased lately. And we also want to bring attention to, there is a countywide memorial ceremony coming up on, I believe it's the 20th, on the 20th at 11 o'clock over at the county courthouse for the National Law Enforcement Memorial Day. So if we could please have, is Chief Nolte still here, or is one of the captains still here? No? All right, so we'll give this to them as well. So we have the proclamation hereby proclaiming May 13th and 19th, National Police Week here in Orangetown. Okay. Finally, we have from May 20th to 26th is National Public Works Week. We have a lot of important public works done here in town, largely by our highway and environmental management engineering departments. They do things that allow us to function as a society. They build the roads, they maintain them, and the folks out there get their hands dirty just to try to make sure that those things are in good repair. We're fortunate here in the town of Orangetown to have a really high-quality highway department led by a very high-quality man, our superintendent, Jim Dean. So I want to present him with this proclamation and hereby proclaim May 20th to 26th National Public Works Week in the town of Orangetown. Jim, if you can come up. behalf of everyone else. And Parks as well, of course, yes. That's right. All right. We're going to have a couple of petitions for zoning changes and zone code amendments. Before we get to that real quick, I did want to point out, I meant to last week, behind my head here, these documents, the Orangetown Resolutions, the Declaration of Independence, and the Constitution, were reframed and matted by our museum. Mary Cardenas over there did a great job with it, and it's important. Our Orangetown is rich in history, and we appreciate her taking care of those historical documents. So let me call up the Kazoo Girl LLC, the petitioner for the zone change for LIO to R80. This is in Orangeburg, 37 Hunt Road.
Good evening, Supervisor and Councilman. My name is Robert Rita, and I'm the attorney for Kazoo Girl LLC and LSB 10924 LLC, the petitioner before you. I'm here today with the principal of Kazoo Girl LLC, Dr. Ian Bauer. And what we're proposing in this informal workshop, so we can get some feedback from those on the board, is my client's property is, as you said, is located on Hunt Street, and it's currently zoned LIO. It is surrounded on three sides, to the north, to the east, and to the west, by the R80 zone. What we're asking the board to do is to rezone the property to R80, and the reason why we'd like to do that, currently there's a single-family house on it, which is a pre-existing non-conforming use for LIO. So obviously, if that house, burned to the ground tomorrow, you couldn't rebuild it. So it's currently a non-conforming use. We'd like to bring it to the R80 zone because my client is a doctor of veterinary medicine who's been practicing veterinary medicine for the last 15 years in Orangetown at Palisades Veterinary Hospital across on 303 across from Lowe's. What he'd like to do is he'd like to move his practice there. And that would be permitted with a special permit in the R80 zone, which of course we would go to the zoning board to try to obtain that special permit if the board grants our zone change. We think it's would be beneficial to the community to have that zone change done, particularly because as I said, you have a pre-existing non-conforming use with a single-family house there. If we brought it to a commercial use, it would be consistent with the character of the neighborhood. You may know the area. You have the senior housing behind it. You have the Veterans Park right there. It's surrounded by commercial or adult uses. It would give the town an additional commercial rateable. It's far enough away from any additional regular residential use that it wouldn't be disturbing anyone. It would be important to note that my client is only preparing to move a veterinary practice there, so there would be no boarding, there would be no overnight stays of pets, with the exception if there's a post-surgical pet that needs to be cared for overnight, but there would be no regular boarding or anything like that. So in sum, we're asking the board to give us that zone change from LIO to R80 so that we can pursue that special use permit and try to get our veterinary practice up and running at the site.
So, a quick question before
Sure.
I turn it over to the rest of the board. So currently, if you could reiterate, he lives there right now?
He doesn't live there.
No.
The house is currently vacant.
It's a vacant house?
Yeah, my client did purchase it a few months ago with the idea of bringing forward this application, but it's a vacant, single-family house at the
But
moment.
how long has it been vacant? Is the pre-existing non-conforming still in effect for the residents? Or is it been
Well,
out
it's-
of use for too long?
Well, no, but it's in the LIO zone
Right.
as a single-family house, so it's a pre-existing non-conforming use with respect to the LIO.
Right, but I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you don't use something for a certain amount of time, it loses its pre-existing non-conforming use status, right? So I just want to make sure how long it's been since it was used
Somebody was living there.
until a few months ago?
Yes.
Okay,
Correct.
that's what I wanted to check. So you could still move in technically?
In theory,
As
sure.
a non-conform, that's what I want to
Right.
make sure. Any other questions, gentlemen?
Well, on the one side is the bright view, on the other side, isn't there residential homes still there? Going up that street towards the ball field?
There's a residential home that the person that's there parks their landscaping trucks.
Sorry, if you could step to this, is this being broadcast so people can hear it on the record?
Right to the, if you're staring at the house, right to the left, there is a house that's there. It looks like it's used basically for landscaping, parking trucks, you know, in the back. I think there might be one other house, maybe, you know, maybe a quarter mile down, but that's it. And then it has a turn going back towards, you know, Verizon, you know, back there like you're going to the ball fields.
What's the acreage on that house, on the property?
1.4 acres, approximately.
So, couldn't be subdivided,
It almost looks like
80 is what, yeah?
Well,
September 2?
Well, right, 2 acres.
Oh, so it couldn't be subdivided already? Okay. It's too small, so, it's too small to subdivide an R80 then, if it was to go R80 at 1.4 acres.
Well, this proposal is to do it.
Oh, if you want to knock down a house.
Well, I'm saying, if once we change it, you can do whatever you want, so if at R80, you wouldn't be able to turn the 1.4 acre into 2 lots, you would have to stay at the 1.4 acre.
That's correct.
Well, I mean, ironically, it's changing it to R80 to make it a commercial.
Yeah, that's weird. Why is that the case? Is there a
Well-
commercial? I mean, obviously, if it's commercial, it'd be the only type. Why is it not
It-
permitted in LIO zone?
It's not, it's just not a permitted use in the LIO zone. It's permitted in R80 because, again, in residential, that's where you do have things like this, you know, a vet, you want it nearby where people live, or a church, or whatever. So frankly, it's just moving the line a little bit. There are some houses back there that are in LIO, all those ones leading up to
Yeah,
Little
they're all
League
LIO,
Field.
but they're pre-existing
All those
non-conforming.
houses back there are LIO. So, right, as Mr. Rita said, once you go R80, you can get a special permit
Then we
for
then we approve this.
a veterinary hospital. It would go
Zoning
to,
approves it.
it would go to ZBA, I think.
ZBA,
I don't have it in front of me. I believe it's ZBA for the special
but
permit.
not us.
Well, I read
But, oh, it's in there.
Is it planning board?
the zoning board.
Zoning board.
Zoning board, right?
The, in the R80, is it, is there a definition between a veterinary hospital and like a boarding situation, or is that something?
I believe both are in there.
But
I don't have the
They'd be
petition in
authorized
front
by
of me.
special, they have to approve it by special permit.
Right, they'll come in for this specific project and say what they're gonna do, and conditions can be put on the special permit.
Any other questions for the applicants here, petitioners, I should say? Yeah,
Tax-wise, is that treated commercially or residential?
I don't know. What would it be treated as? It's a commercial use in a residential zone, it'd be taxes. Homestead
We'd have to
homestead.
ask Brian, but I would assume it would.
Okay, so that should be clarified too.
I would think it would tax as residential.
Generally speaking, the tax assessor is going to tax pursuant to whatever the use
Right,
is.
what the use is,
Right,
right?
but you're gonna, just to clarify, so you are gonna be building an addition, okay. It's gonna be how many square feet? It's the big one. So you're making an addition to the building that will improve taxes.
Right,
The
there
way
would
the
be,
taxes are gonna go up because the use is improved, so,
it would
It's
go
based
up
on the
for the
use, not
use.
the
Yeah.
zone, yeah.
right, the use, not the zone, okay.
Right.
That answers the question, so yeah, so it'll be taxed commercially then, because it's commercial use. Any other questions? I see you all comfortable putting it on for a workshop meeting and?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll putting this on a schedule for our next regularly scheduled workshop meeting, and then we will then be able to set the public hearing after that, so we're gonna have all that stuff going forward from there.
Okay.
But we appreciate you applying, so, the next workshop meeting is when, so you can get a sense of the timeline we're talking about here. June 5th is the workshop, so we'll workshop the resolutions necessary to set the public hearing then, and figure then the next meeting is the 23rd, 26th to vote on them. So you gotta figure we need, how many days to notice the public hearing? 10. Okay, so we could probably do, just theoretically, the 24th is too soon for July. What would be able to do it pending that, or?
If you want to do the resolutions on. If you want to do the resolutions on the 5th, we could do that for.
We could vote on the
July
resolutions on
meeting.
the 5th for, to be able to meet the 24th of
If
July.
the board's inclined to.
Hearing, if we're okay with that. So we just don't have them in the workshop right now, it's a workshop today. So we could vote on the noticing on either the 5th or the next regularly scheduled meeting. Yeah, we just put it on for regular time meetings this week. It was just-
And then figure out what date it will be.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so we'll put it on we'll vote on the resolutions to schedule the hearing next week. Okay, that way you get in a little sooner.
Great.
And figure we'll be able to do that hearing. We have how many? We already have 2 on the 5th, so the 26th of June is probably a safe bet to be able to set the public hearing.
So it's on for the 15th.
It'll be on the agenda for the 15th. We'll need all the resolutions written
Right.
up for circulation and noticing the hearing and stuff.
And then workshop it the week before the 26th.
You can workshop it on the 5th.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then the next meeting to vote on is June 26th? All right.
The public hearing
Public
itself
hearing
will
would be the 26th, because we already are talking in a workshop about it, we'll just vote
Okay.
next week to notice
All right.
and everything, and circulate.
Circulation.
And then and then we'll schedule the public hearing for the 26th. This is essentially us workshopping it without having the written resolutions. Okay. All right. Any other questions, guys?
The hearing will be
26th of June.
26th of June.
Yeah.
Great.
At 8:05.
Thank you very much for your time.
All right,
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, one more. We have a petition for amendment to zoning code from OP to PAC district for the BNE Real Estate Group, the Point at Lake Tapan. This is adjacent to the other existing PAC zone over on Orangeburg Road. The applicants or the petitioners can please come up.
Good evening, Town Board. My name is Donald Brenner. I am the attorney for BNE Realty, who are the owners and developers of the present point at Pearl River right now, and we're petitioning now to build a second position at point number 2, which is located on Veterans Drive, adjacent to the Blue Hill Complex. I have with me the owners of the project, I have with me the architect, I have with me the engineer. They'd like to make a little presentation to tell you about the project. So the first person I'd like to bring up is the owner, and he'd like to tell you a little bit about the company.
Members of the board, thank you for having us here tonight. My name is Mark Pantier. I'm a third-generation member of B&E Real Estate. I've been with the company for the past 5 years. Before that, I was a real estate attorney in Manhattan. As Don just explained, we are talking about the property just across from Blue Hill Plaza. Before the professionals get into some of the design detail, I'd just like to give you a brief overview of our company. We're a family-owned business started by my grandfather in the early 1950s. Over the past 60-plus years, we've built over 10,000 homes, 5,000 apartments in 30-plus communities throughout New York and New Jersey. Locally, we built the club at Pearl River, located just across from the Blue Hill Golf Course. That's 160 apartments, active adult. Right now, we are completely full. There's a wait list of close to 140 people waiting to join the community. Our tenants seem to be very happy. So we hope that with the proposed development that we would be able to deliver a similar product, similar apartments, layouts and finishes. Just a little bit about our company. We take pride in our ability to acquire, design, construct, lease and manage all of our properties. We've been doing so somewhat successfully for the past 60-plus years. And with the opportunity, would love to bring another great BNE community here to Pearl River. Thank you.
Thanks so much. The second person I'd like to introduce would be their engineer, who will just show you the general layout of the new project. Charles, you want to come up and just give me a general idea of what the project looks like, okay?
Could you just that one? Could you like shift that to kind of where you're standing? Because I can't see a thing in that. Sorry. Can you all see that now?
So as you're aware, this is Pearl River 2, as we're calling it right now. This is going to be the second phase of the project that is currently completed out there on phase 1. The property is 25.87 acres total. There are some slopes. This one slopes down slightly to the wetlands, so we do have some some constraints here which we are avoiding completely. We won't be into any of the wetlands. We'll have some detention on site. We'll obviously be getting our SWIP in place while we start to design the project. We have, right now, we anticipate only of the 25 acres disturbing 11 of that. The project itself will have 5 buildings. We'll have 3 25-unit buildings, or 2 25-unit buildings and 3 18-unit buildings. Our main entrance is off of Blue Hill Plaza, which will then bring you down into the property. We have, as well as garage parking, we also have surface parking, which we'll be providing, will be in full compliance with the required parking. The project will then look out over into the woods. We're preparing, we're trying to avoid any disturbance of the trees along the Veteran Memorial Park Road. We want to make sure that it stays buffered from the area. The project itself has circulation around. We have parking in the back of the units or in the front, depending on how you look at it. The architect will go into that, where you'll have 2 stories above parking or 2 stories into the hillside, which would be there. So we have uphill and downhill units, as we call them. Uphill units will have 2 stories in the back, and then as the parking, you'll have in the front 3 stories from the front of the building. Then on the downhill units, you'll have 2 stories and then 3 stories as you progress further down the hill. The project itself is tucked into the hillside, so that's how we're trying to limit as much disturbance as possible with the grading on site. So to go, I believe that's it. We're also going to be looking at keeping all of our disturbance and impervious coverage as low as possible on the property.
Okay, and the third party I'd like to introduce is the architect. He will speak about the project. He was the architect in the first section, and I believe he will tell you that the architecture will be pretty much the same on this section as it was in the first section.
Good evening. So we're about 104 units across the project site. Roughly, unit distribution is roughly favors 2-bedroom units over 1-bedroom units. I think it's 80%, right? Yeah, it's about an 80% favor of 2-bedroom over 1-bedroom units. Architecturally, we have the luxury this time around, when we presented this years ago, this time around we have the luxury of having buildings, on site and sort of able to be sort of experienced now that the community is constructed and it's really turned out quite nice. But architecturally what we have here is a very traditional language. It's in terms of exterior materials, we're looking at siding and asphalt shingles and stone. We're looking at, paneled column bases. So it's really sort of a, very traditional colonial sort of expression. So I think, again, the opportunity here to see and experience, phase 1 of the club over at Lake Tappan is a nice opportunity to see what the outcome will be. So.
Just for your information, in conformance with the code, this facility will have its own a recreation house, will have its own swimming pool, will be fully in conformance with the code, which, as it is written today, it is completely separated from the section number 1, because when we did section number 1, we guaranteed that 11 acres would remain forever wild, so they will be separated. They will not be connected in any way. However, they will be like a sister unit of the facility. Was mentioned about parking. Under your code, you only need 1.75 off-street parking spaces. This facility is designed with 2.23, so we have more than enough, actually have more than enough parking. It meets everyone, as I said, every element of the code.
Couple questions.
Yeah.
What type of amenities are you going to have at the phase 2?
The same exact amenities that are in phase 1. In other
Swimming
words, there's going to
pool.
be a club, there's going to be a pool, there's going to be a clubhouse of the size which I told you about. Exactly the same as number 1.
All right. What are 1 and 2 bedrooms?
There will be 1 and 2 bedrooms, that is correct. There will be 1 bedroom and there will be 2 bedrooms.
Do you know the breakdown yet, or no?
Yes,
60%, 70%, two-bedroom? 80% two-bedroom.
80% will be
Alright.
2 bedrooms.
And you guys will be charging market rate, whatever you can get?
That is correct. In other words, we gave you an approximate cost. The 1 bedroom, the approximate cost would start at 19.
And it's what,
Pardon me?
what was I gonna say, 104 units, you got 140 people waiting? Waiting list of 140 people?
Right now,
That's
yes.
inclusive of the other side too, right? That waiting list?
Yeah.
We have a wait list for the one that's there.
The other one.
And we also have a
Right, I
wait list
understand.
for this particular one.
So a question though, I guess reiteration, because I'm pretty sure I can tell that the main entrance is gonna be on the shared road with Blue Hill Plaza, and
correct.
then that connection is not an entrance at the top, it's just fire access, right?
That's correct. There
On
will
the
be a
main road.
traffic light there, traffic control light to the entrance. And the only reason we have that second one, that the fire department, Pearl Fire Department wants an emergency entrance, which we have in section number 1.
So there's
same
no
thing.
additional curb cuts on Orangeburg Road?
There will be
then,
no,
right?
that's correct.
'Cause I actually was talking to one of the residents of Phase 1 on Saturday night, and he says it's a phenomenal facility.
Yeah, I've been there, it's great.
It's one of the rare ones where everybody's very contented. It's that they think they've done a nice job. It's managed very well. Management takes care of everybody, and it's done quite well. Very pleasing. As I said, with a waiting list right now.
Well, I think to me, I think you need amenities to get the seniors to pay. I mean, let's be honest, it's not cheap to live there, but you have 140 people waiting to go there because of the pool, the clubhouse, the gym, and I think that's the key. I mean, that's what people are looking for. They're looking to downsize, cash out money, and put that, maybe investing it in something, and then, living life to its fullest at that place. That's how I see it.
And then we keep them here instead of they go to Florida.
And these are Orangetown residents. You see,
They almost all are, I know that. All right, so the resolution's prepped in this one for this particular petitioner to workshop and set the public hearing theoretically for the 26th as well, it would be, so we'd have for 2. Is that okay? Are we all comfortable setting a public hearing for this? Okay, so we'll be doing it at 8:05. We haven't voted to set it yet, but prep for 8:05 on June 26th, and then we'll have Kazoo Girl in at 8:15 on that day for their petition. And we'll go from there, all right? Any other final questions for the applicant? Great, thank you very much.
thank you very much.
Okay. So that's all for our petitions and our presentations. Yeah, we'll take a quick 5-minute recess, motion for recess. Second, motion by me, second by Councilman Divney, all in favor? All right, 5-minute recess so if folks can sort of collect themselves. I'm gonna move us out of recess here, and we're gonna move on to, I forget, do we need to actually do a motion to get out of recess, or I just bring it up?
I'll make a motion.
All right, Councilman Divney, second by Councilman Troy, all in favor? All right. First item, before we get to reviewing our items for the next week's meeting, we have a discussion item about the parking rules in Pearl River. So recently, the town board passed amendment to the code that allowed for 30-minute zones, and what we then determined is that someone's got to set the specific spots for the meters. So the idea that's sort of been circulated around is us having sort of a public hearing on it, maybe not a formal public hearing, but at least public input session, where we might want to do that, and having some sort of formal reevaluation of our parking zones in Pearl River before we set where those are going to be legally.
I don't understand why we need a public hearing and why you have to
Yeah.
set that. To me,
We already had a public hearing.
Not a public hearing on that, in terms of like when we establish that they're going to be.
it's a thing, and again, you could have 2 of the members of the board meet with the parking management people
Right.
and possibly the chamber, a representative from the
Okay.
Chamber of Commerce. And
Yeah,
sit-
I don't mean a formal thing.
Well, I'm just saying, that's how the whole thing was done in the first place, in terms of, planning it out.
Great.
It was not passed through the town board, nothing. The only thing that was passed through the town board was the buying of the meters.
Okay.
And the rest of that is through the Parking Advisory Committee, which really
It's a defunct committee.
doesn't meet.
Yeah. See, I wasn't appointed, I don't think, this year, right? So,
Kim Allen asked
Yeah, we said there was.
asked who they were, and I gave them some names, but, you
We could,
know.
I mean, it doesn't have to be a formal process. Figure we want to sit down with someone, figure out where to set these things.
But-
Are we talking about the two that we approved a year ago, that this guy's been
So-
patiently waiting for these
Yeah,
meters
so
to be put
basically,
in?
what the lawyers are telling
For
me
the
at least
veteran who
is
owns
that, yeah,
an antique shop and
We-
wants the two spots in front of his store, we're still debating that?
yes.
So we have a public hearing.
In sense, because we have to then, someone has to tell the parking folks where to put the meter, literally, is what we're being told. We created the zone, but we didn't say exactly, yeah. Teresa, can you step up and explain it, because maybe,
They can come to me and I will show them the two spots.
It's the two spots in front
do you
of
need
the
us to
guy's
vote,
store.
Teresa, can you just step up to the podium real quick? I know you don't like going to the podium, but I'm gonna make you now.
This is like,
All right, so what you said to us was, or to me, was that we set a zone for 30-minute parking, but someone has to tell them where to physically place the meter, essentially.
One authority for where they do it.
An
So
authority.
We have on our website, it looks beautiful, that talks about the parking advisory committee, and there's a map and where everything is, but no one seems to be able to find this parking
It's offensive.
advisory committee.
It hasn't been populated or met or
It
been
hasn't been
appointed
populated,
in
I don't
years.
even know where the authority really for it is, other than it's in this, I mean, it's in this,
It's
it's
in a
on the
map.
website, it's a very nice page, but.
It's not in the code,
So
though.
the police department is looking for authority, so, I mean, we can certainly, we can do that. I was just looking for this authority in case they existed, but.
I don't think it does.
The Parking Advisory
Yeah,
did
it
such a
doesn't
great job
exist.
back then, it didn't have to meet again.
Now, the other thing about it is what I
Were you on that
mentioned
committee then?
was that.
I spent a lot of time on
apparently this
that.
is controversial, believe it or not, that other stores would like the same thing, because everyone would rather have a shorter thing and people not parking in front.
That's true.
So maybe you want to, at least, so you don't have like the person that happened with the parking up on 9W, at least know about it and come in and hear it before you finalize your decision.
But I'm just saying, we
But
should.
we have finalized the decision, we
But that-
talked about this
but
at
you-
length.
It was
and
never advertised,
Yeah,
or noticed, or
it
published.
was
think
put in
it
the
was.
paper. It was a public hearing.
There's a public
To
hearing.
create a parking
Two
zone.
spots in front of this guy's store was the way I
I think you better
remember the
check what the
resolution.
publication said. You were just creating this new parking zone.
The technical phrasing, did it
It
have an
didn't say
address on
where.
it? Didn't say where. It created a 30-minute parking zone in downtown Perimeter. That's the problem, though, because it wasn't specific to the specific area.
Is there,
So-
you have
The whole
15,
reason was for that, I
I think
agree.
it's
yeah.
15 minutes, I forget, I don't have them.
if some of the meters are 15 minutes, some of them are an hour, 2 hours.
So you created this,
I don't, you're saying there's a zone, again, in terms of.
and that's in the town code.
It's defined, which, which ones are the handicap, because that way you can give a ticket out in that particular place. So that's what you're trying to do, get a zone on these 30-minute
Well,
meters?
you created it, that's
created
what you
the
did
zone,
the last time.
but we didn't-
But we didn't, then when I
So it
went
has
to.
to be defined in the website?
Right.
Okay.
Now, again, I think we can do it that way through the Traffic Advisory Committee, but we're gonna have to,
Do we want to invite, basically, my thought process is, since we have to do something else legally to set up where these meters are going to be,
This one?
you can either create an ad hoc committee with the Chamber of Commerce, like you said.
I
or-
would suggest, I've been involved from the beginning.
Yeah.
Tom works right there.
Yeah, I
has
know,
his
he's
finger
right
on
the
the
corner.
pulse there. And we'll also get somebody from the Chamber of Commerce. too.
Okay.
All right?
So we'll get the Chamber of Commerce involved, have an ad hoc meeting, and come back with a recommendation for any other 30-minute zone, and also be included theoretically, because we created the option.
And can you put a call into the poor
Chris.
old guy who owns the store?
Listen, yeah,
who's
I
been
mean, yeah.
Patiently
I
watching
know.
his parking meter for a year?
I mean, the ironic thing is,
wouldn't use the
in
word
front of my office, there's a 15-minute meter.
Yeah.
There's a
There is, yeah.
15-minute meter right in front of my office, so, I mean, we're creating this ad hoc committee, but you have so many instances where there's 15
no,
and 30.
this is 30, it was a new zone, you
There's
can have
a
whatever it
zone,
was.
yeah.
But
I
is
don't
it-
have it with me, I'm sorry.
Is there a zone for that 15-meter parking in
Yes.
front of my office?
Yes.
The reason for the 15-minute meters were the places that were like the newsstands around the corner and the one right next to Muddy Brook. That's the idea behind the 15 minutes. Anybody was just going in, picking up some, Munoz Deli, where they come in and out,
Yeah.
real fast.
You go on to
The,
our webpage, you'll
the
find the
post-
lovely map.
The post office.
He wanted
Post
a
office has-
15-minute. He wanted a 15-minute.
I know. and somehow it got changed to 30, but.
But the issue, again, the issue is that there's no, we could approve the 2 and then still have this, if we wanted to say, let them get started. Because, I mean, I think the board, when it was voted on, intended that it would be that spot, obviously. But the way it's written doesn't have it that spot, so we could either do one of 2 things. One, like, issue a formal thing saying, yes, that's where we want it for now, and then have another meeting with the chamber and see any other adjustments we want to make to our parking, because obviously that hasn't been done in a while if the committee's been defunct for like 5-6 years at least. Or we could just wait until that happens and then do the whole thing in one batch. So I mean, obviously the guy's been waiting a while, but he may be waiting another, 3 weeks or so before we get that meeting together. It's if we do it all at once. I don't really necessarily have a preference either way.
We'll have that meeting and come up with
Come with a few recommendations to put 30-minute zones. We'll put them all together at once, and then we'll move on from there.
You gotta have a 30-minute meeting, it needs a different color. There's
Yeah.
there's red,
That's in the
yellow.
town. We have that. That we did.
That
We
was
put it
done.
in the code, the new meter, the new color.
The new meter, the new color, the
Now we
ability
have
to
take
do
the
it,
next step.
but we didn't do the next step. So I think everyone kind of thought everything was done, but it wasn't done, essentially, is what, and I'm just, both of us are just the messengers here, right, Teresa? Yes? Okay. All right, moving on. We have one resolution we have to vote on, the rest are all to be proposed for the next meeting. We over-appointed for the Board of Assessment Review. The woman who was over-appointed has been notified that she was over-appointed, so we need to rescind that resolution. It wasn't someone we had interviewed, it was sort of accidentally added on. Is there a motion for that one?
Which one is it?
Number 5, sorry.
All right, moved.
Councilman Divney, second. Councilman Troy, all in favor? All right, now the rest of them are non-voting resolutions. This is just for the opening the public hearing, for the tree hazard, the circulation, for, the issue of stuff for Lake Tapan that we just talked about, for the, going on to 12, more of that for the setting of the public hearing, which will be on the 26th. The secra and everything. Then we have our proposed, we're going on the 14, we will have a memorializing resolution proposed for, that we have 2 Brinks killers who are coming up for parole. One, Judith Clark, was up for parole after having her sentence commuted last year by the governor, which is travesty of justice. And then she was denied parole and now is being re-offered parole due to a court decision. And then Mutulu Shakur, who was the mastermind of the killings and a whole chain of things, is applying for parole in the federal level at the same time, coincidentally. So this resolution will be delivered, if passed next week, which I'm certain will be 5-0, to the appropriate parole boards, expressing our extreme desire that this not happen. It was based off a previous one. Some edits were made to make it time sensitive for 2018 and focus more on the parole than the commuting. Does anyone have any edits they want to suggest to this one before we get for the vote for next week? Okay. The next one we have is there is a bill going on in the state, in the Assembly and the Senate, to try to get a sort of a compromise solution to the Tappan Zee Bridge. We want to keep the name Tappan Zee. Obviously, the governor and several folks in Albany want to put Mario's name on it. I don't care which governor's on it personally, whether it's Cuomo or what was the other one that was on it? Malcolm Wilson. So the idea of these bills is that they can actually pass by naming it the Mario Cuomo Tappan Zee Bridge, and that we would also want to keep all the signage pointing to it, say just Tappan Zee, where it says Tappan Zee now. Does anyone have any commentary on this one or thoughts? Okay. I'm trying to take the high road and compromise on this and get the Tappan Zee name. We are the town where the bridge name falls. One of our high schools is Tappan Zee High School, so. Then project graduation funding for the different high schools is done pretty much every year. 17, accepting documents that were received by the town clerk. 18, pursue a performance bond. 19 is an RFP for the ZBA for the redesign of the Aloof Plastics filtration system, to issue the RFP for that. That's been under work by Jane and the ZBA. 20, and stop me if you have any questions, sorry guys. 20, we have the, its approval for a fishing contest for assistance. Good fishing.
Rotary Club of Pro River.
Talk about it. Tell us a little about it. I mean, I don't really
It's
know about
on this year, do we have the date?
it. Yeah, I might, actually.
It's on, right, June 9th, and it starts, it's 10 to 3, and it's at the pond at Veterans Park. And it's a good time. They give out trophies and awards, and it's a lot of fun. They stock we stock it a little bit so that we make sure people catch something.
Well, that's good, because I can't fish to save my life, so. That's
It's-
run by the Rotary?
The Rotary Club of Pro River, correct.
My grandkids last year had a ball there,
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of
and
fun.
they all caught something.
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
They're all about 3 inches big, but I don't know.
So a fish is a fish, as long as you're not gonna eat it anyway, probably, right? All right, well, that's gonna be our lending assistance for that. 21, lend assistance for the Greek Festival. That'll be on June 7th to June 10th. 7th to the 10th, 12
Thank you.
PM to 12 AM every day. Then approve to lend assistance for Tappan Memorial Day Parade on the 28th. And then governor lend assistance for the Palisades Park Hill Memorial Day Parade on May 28th. And moving on to 24, assistance for the American Cancer Society Relay for Life Walk. We just bundled 3 together for that one, because they're all for the same thing. Approve pro fireworks for the 4th of July, rain date of 7/6. 26, lend assistance for the Piermont Police Athletic League Music Festival for the Showmobile. And then assistance for the Pearl River Chamber of Commerce Movie Night, June 1st, which will be Porta Johns with lights. And there was some work put into finding ones that had lights. A good job there. Then resolution to accept and sign a donation from Orangetown Patriots football. They're replacing 2 existing Orangetown Patriots signs. This is to fix the whole potentially recently determined to be offensive word. And also update it, make it look nicer. They're kind of old. So combination, 2 different things. They're both being fixed at the Patriots' expense. Donation of memorial benches in Bronsdorf Park from the Pearl River Rotary Club. Several in memory of different folks who have passed and donated by the Pearl River Rotary, which is great, and they're expensive. How much were they each usually? $600 a piece, so that's very helpful. I also did want to add that, I kind of started doing some work with local landscapers with a couple of folks in the community, and we have a couple of landscapers that are really interested in doing Adopt a Spot to a very strong degree, including Bronsdorf Park. We're going to be talking with the Rotary Club about that, but they're going to be willing to replace bushes and maintain the lawn and fertilize the lawn and maybe re-sod it. And other spots in town too, like over by what we were talking about, the sign where they have the Camp Shanks Museum putting in nice gardening over there. Yeah. Oh, you did? Yeah, they said they were there with you, yeah.
Thing I said, definitely should be talking to the chamber and also to the
Legion,
American
too.
Legion too.
So we're going to bring in all the folks that are involved, but a few landscapers on several locations in town have already offered some generous contributions to make it look nicer for this town, which I think is great. We'll get to that when we get to it, but just wanted to bring it up. Then next 30, resolution to approve fees for Veterans Park food trucks. This is based on the recommendation of Eric, our superintendent of Parks and Rec. You've all seen them already in terms of the folks on the board. They have to purchase the hawkers and peddlers license. Does anyone have any questions for Eric regarding the fee structure for that? We're talking about $100 for a special event, $500 for an annual, excluding special events. And again, we're shutting down for the public's knowledge, we're shutting down the food distribution there. The word's escaping me now, but the concession stand, because it was hemorrhaging money. So restrooms will still be open. Yeah, I had a question about that too, actually, from some. So it'll still have the restrooms, but it won't be selling food, and we're instead going to have the free market take care of it and let some food trucks come on and provide delicious food for folks in the park. Nyack American Legion approved lend assistance for their Memorial Day Parade on May 28th. And then for the Rockland Bergen Music Festival, June 23rd and 24th. Also approve assistance with the showmobile. And then extend agreement for the Chestnut Ridge Transportation for our summer camp busing. 34, approve for the Carnival Central Avenue Field in Pearl River. This will be held on Monday, June 25th to Friday, June 29th. 35, approve resolution to award bid for the Cherry Brook Drainage System rehab using the cured in-place pipe. Bids were received. NTEC was lowest qualified bidder, and they recommend that that be passed for $226,875. This was one of the bonded ones, right? Yeah. So, I know Jim knows a lot about this. I don't see Joe's on vacation, so any questions about that? Okay. Yep, it's an ongoing issue. We have a few different, let's see, this is for backflow prevention training device inspector for one of the employees in DME, and then another one for another certification course for one of the employees. And then 38, we talked about this, the consolidation study. We're going to take half the cost to try to address that $40 million mandate that was sort of shoved down our throats by New York State, and try to get that number down as low as possible to zero as we can. This will be one of the avenues we're looking at. So GHD has been brought on by the county. We would pay half of the 34.9, so 17,450, and then we should get that within a few months. And there'll be other studies we're conducting as well. This is the first one for the effluent consolidation to determine if we can meet ammonia together. Any questions or comments? Okay. Finance, proposed resolution to approve the 2017 budget. We don't have, budget line reallocation, sorry, that cut off mid-page. So there's just some adjustments based on, this is based on the audit. We had to adjust some things in the.
There's a list of about 14 pages of adjustments where we go through each line. If it's under, we increase it, or if it's over, we do the opposite to zero it all out. And so whatever is short, you see that we have summaries here of that for each of the different funds. And so just to point to your knowledge, we had additional fund balance usage of $475,000 in town outside village and $31,000 for the police lines. Obviously, a lot of that was due to the retro pays that were all the contracts were settled. So that's why we ended up going above what we budgeted in fund balance usage. So not unexpected, but it is what it is, and that's we're almost done with the audit, and we're just waiting on a couple legal letters from attorneys and the OHA's final audit, so we can submit ours.
Thank you. Any questions for Jeff on that? All right. We have a few personnel ones that I think is best discussed in executive session. And Rifat Mansour for IT for police department. We discussed that in the police commission meetings, I believe. But we can talk about it afterwards also if we want. Does anyone have any further things they want to add to the agenda before we move to executive session? Okay, so do we have any adjournments in honor of anyone someone would like to offer? We don't have any on the agenda today. Anyone that? Yeah, so I'll move that we move into executive session to discuss what's this legal matters and pending or current litigation and personnel, and then immediately thereafter adjourn. Is there a second? Councilman Divney, all in favor? All right, thank you.